start off with, I'd like to talk about your teammates mentoring program. After several years of coaching, one might think that that would provide a lot of mentoring opportunities itself, but after several years, you and your wife in 1991 established the teammates mentoring program. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to start this program?
Well, it's primarily because we saw over 30 odd years of coaching the changes that a lot of our young people were facing. The amount of family dysfunction is certainly increasing. Substance abuse, drug abuse was certainly on the increase. Gang membership, violence, probably overall test scores, ACT, academic performance was declining. So we hit upon the idea that we had some football players, about 150 of them, that people looked up to, and we thought that maybe we could harness the adulation that young people have for athletes in a positive way.
How do you believe the program has influenced the children involved?
We find that generally peer relationships improve, relationships with kids in the school, relationships with parents gets better. And I think so many of adults in our society today don't fully comprehend the depth and the magnitude of the issues that young people are facing today. Things that really 30 years ago weren't very common, and today are very, very common.
In your latest book, you mentioned that there were three basic contributions that to the life of a young person that a mentor can make: a vision, and unconditional care and affirmation. Can you expand on these just a little bit?
A lot of young people don't really feel there's an adult in their life that cares about them unconditionally. And there's a term in the Bible, it's called agape. It's another word for love. But we've kind of gotten the word love all messed up via Hollywood and television. People don't really understand what it is. And this term for love means unconditional positive regard. It means that I want the best for you. I care about you. And it's not necessarily a warm and fuzzy feeling. Sometimes those who deal with teenagers can understand that you're not always going to have a warm and fuzzy feeling. But you can still will the best for somebody. You want them to do well in school. You want them to end up with a good education. You want to see them stay out of trouble. And so that's what it is. It basically is a commitment. If you're consistent, and if you keep showing up, and if you let them know that you really care about them for who they are, rather than for what they can do, that's really powerful. Secondly, affirmation is very powerful also, because as adults, most people can relate to the fact that if they never get a pat on the back, no one ever tells them you're doing a good job, your husband or wife never says, that was a wonderful meal, thank you for doing this. You never get any positive feedback. Life is hard. And we have a lot of young people who get very little affirmation. They don't get much at home, and quite often they don't get much at school either. And so I saw how powerful this was in athletics. If you told a player that you believed in him, that you thought he had a future, that he was going to be a great player, a lot of times that player would start to do things he had no idea he could do. And on the other hand, if you said, we don't really think you'll be able to play for us, this is going to be really hard, usually performance will go downhill. So affirmation is critical. Third thing we mentioned there is the idea of vision. A lot of kids have a vision of the future that's pretty limited. They have never seen anybody, maybe in their family, who's gone to college. They've maybe not experienced anyone in their family who's graduated from high school. Statistically, those who drop out of school before getting a high school diploma will usually cost society about $200,000 in the course of their lifetime. And so if you get somebody through high school, it's a big deal.
Can you share with us a mentoring success story that you've had?
There was a case of one of our board members, Kim Baxter, doctor, who lives out in North Platte. He was mentoring this young guy, and he was a little bit discouraged because it didn't seem like the young man that he had as a mentee was really interested in anything. He'd come and he'd try to create some conversation, and the young guy just kind of sat there. And finally one day he said, you know, I know how to play the guitar. Would you be at all interested in trying to learn how? It was the first time the young guy had ever shown any enthusiasm. And he said, yeah, I'm telling you to try and do that. So then he said, you know, your grades aren't very good. Now, if your grades will improve, I'll give you the guitar. But if they go back down, then I'll have to take it back. So the young guy's grades got better. And he gave him the guitar, and then, like often happens, things went the other way, and grades got bad. Things weren't going well, and so Kim was really discouraged, and at that point he said, you know, it just doesn't seem like this is working very well. You probably could benefit from a different mentor. I'm not able to connect with you. And we had a deal, and I'm going to have to take the guitar back because your grades have nosedived. So the young guy dropped the guitar by his office. About 2 weeks later, I guess Kim took the guitar out and was going to play it a little bit. And a note dropped out of the case, and it said, don't give up on me. And so obviously there had been more going on in that relationship than what Kim had thought. I guess the point of the story is that there are times when there's not instant success, not an instant connection, but almost invariably that relationship proves to be more important and more powerful in that young person's life than what the mentor ever thinks.
Unfortunately, not all mentor-mentee relationships will succeed, but the ones that fail, in your opinion, what do you think is the #1 reason why a relationship goes bad?
You can start off with a bad match. The other issue that I've already talked about is simply inconsistency on the part of the mentor, where the mentor doesn't show up, or the mentor is someone who's so busy, or thinks they're so busy, he can't be there. And on that note, I would say that some of our very best mentors are doctors, lawyers, teachers, people who are very busy, but everyone that I know can find 1 hour a week or the noon hour, whenever it may be, to mentor.
What do you see as some of the major benefits to the mentor?
Whatever you do to invest in the life of another person has a ripple effect that goes on for eternity, because as you influence and affect another person, they in turn will affect another person and another and another. And we know that, for instance, children of alcoholics are much more likely to be alcoholics. Children of abusive parents are much more likely to abuse other people. And so a mentor oftentimes is somebody who breaks cycles, who intervenes. And a good mentor can make a difference and break that cycle and cause something positive to happen. And it's kind of like dropping a pebble in a pool. The ripple goes on and on and on. And so that kind of investment, I think, is something that is very satisfying. And frankly, I'm very concerned about our country. I feel that in our democracy, if the next generation coming up is not prepared to live in a constructive way and cooperative way and be educated to a certain level where things hold together, pretty soon things begin to fall apart. And we see enough dysfunction. There's a lot of good kids, there's a lot of great kids, there's some good families. But if you look at averages and the larger number, you realize that things are pretty dicey right now. And one thing that can be an answer is mentoring.